Hey everyone, Kevin here. I just finished going through Donald Trump's entire interview with Fox News' town hall at the Lincoln Memorial. I'm going to go through this exactly the way I took the notes on it. I recommend you watch the entire thing, but if you don't have the hour plus to watch it all, here's a quick preview of what happened, what went down, and some of the implications that I'm seeing between the lines. So Trump starts off. He started this whole thing off by talking about how this virus came from China and it could have been stopped. There are people scared on both sides. That is, people want to reopen the economy and some people don't want to reopen yet, and he gets it. Like, everybody's scared, but right now the solution is solving this virus. Then, in response to, this is very important, especially on stimulus, in response to somebody who said, look, I'm unemployed. How am I going to get more help? I haven't even seen my stimulus check yet. I need help. Donald Trump responds with, more help is coming. There has to be, quote. Then he says, quote, we're going to do more. It's very bipartisan. This is very important because this is where he kind of lays the groundwork for suggesting that, look, there's going to be more stimulus. It's already been decided on both sides that we are going to have more stimulus. We just don't know yet what form. Now, he teases a little bit more later on in terms of what the form is, but let's just go through these notes in order. He continues by talking about how there are going to be embers and hot spots, and if there's a second fire, we're going to put that out. We're going to fight this. Some states are going to need more time to open up. Some are doing very well. He says, we're very confident that we are going to have a vaccine by the end of the year. By the end of the year. That was a quote. Then he says, you don't need stimulus when this virus is gone. That's good. But unfortunately, the darn virus ain't gone yet, so we need help, which is also kind of like a reverse implication, right? Anyway, continuing on, he kind of implies that the death toll could reach as high as 100,000, though right now he thinks it's going to be somewhere between 80 to 90,000. He says, look, the airlines had their best year ever until we had to turn them off, and we did whatever we could to rescue them. Obviously, I think the airlines would argue they're still struggling. Then he goes into, and this is where things start getting a little dicey about tariffs, which think back to last year when we had a tariff battle going on with China. It wasn't very good because the stock market was going like straight down, okay? He goes, China ripped this country off for decades, and he kind of goes deep on China. I'm going to skip some of this. Then he starts talking a little bit more about the stimulus that he's thinking. Infrastructure. That was said multiple times. Infrastructure is very important on both sides. So he agrees that Democrats and Republicans are on the same side in terms of having more infrastructure stimulus. Maybe they're going to use that to produce jobs. He must have a payroll tax cut. In fact, later in the interview, he suggested that basically nothing is going to happen without a payroll tax cut. So there will be a payroll tax cut based on his opinion. In other words, if there's going to be any kind of stimulus, it is going to include a payroll tax cut. He continued on by saying, look, our roads are going to hell. In other words, we will be doing infrastructure. It will be bipartisan. Continuing on, he says, here it is, not doing anything unless we get a payroll tax cut. I believe next year will be our best year. All right, continuing on, Pence says we need more jobs. We need to create jobs. We will work to protect business workers and to stimulate the economy going forward. Then we get a little bit more into China ripping off the country, some history on China. This is an important line right here. He says, we have a strong report coming, very conclusive. I think they made a horrible mistake. They tried to cover it up, couldn't put out the fire. This somewhat kind of teases a trade war potentially coming. In fact, he says that tariffs are the best negotiating tool a country has had. Then he kind of slams prior administrations and says, we haven't been using tariffs as a negotiating tool, but they need to be used as a negotiating tool. But beyond talking about China and talking about potential stimulus, he says, look, the best thing we could do is get the coronavirus in the past. Pence then jumps in and suggests that by early summer, we want to see the economy start bouncing back. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin, who is also there, says we're not going to bail out poorly managed states. We've heard that a bunch of times. But they did say, as kind of a condition of one of the last CARES Acts, they've kind of released money to police and fire. So they're not like holding up money to police and firefighters and presumably hospitals because of politics over, well, your state's poorly managed this, that, or whatever. That's all the politics stuff. It looks like they're trying to cut that money out and at least get things moving. Then Trump again reiterates the payroll tax cut is very important and getting people back to work is very important. Donald Trump then suggests that, look, the other nominees and the other candidates running for president, they want to raise taxes, and Trump echoes he wants to lower taxes. Obviously a popular line for him to say, makes sense. His way of doing that, though, is he wants to see a payroll tax cut not just this year, but potentially through next year as well. He wants to see people get back to work, especially protesters. He sees the third quarter as a transitionary quarter. He sees the fourth quarter as a good quarter, and he thinks 2021 will be great. In terms of wearing masks, Mike Pence did concede that he should have worn a mask when he went to the Mayo Clinic. That was obviously a big topic of contention that Pence had gone to the Mayo Clinic not wearing a mask, but then he went to a ventilator factory wearing a mask, and he does concede that, you know what, I should have worn a mask. He says that he didn't wear a mask because he gets tested so regularly, and in other words, because he gets tested so regularly, he didn't think he was going to spread anything to anybody, and that the CDC says, well, masks are not to protect you, they're to protect somebody else, which I always personally wonder about this, and I wish the CDC would give us some guidance on, but I'm pretty sure when I put on like a P100 respirator, you know, with the big filters, that I'm protecting myself more than I'm protecting someone else. So I think there are like two types of masks here. It'd probably be good for the CDC to issue some guidance on that. Like the N95s, pretty sure those protect the wearer. The like surgical masks, or me going, you know, with my shirt over my face, yeah, that might help protect others more than it protects me. That's just, but look, dude, I'm just, I'm just the dude on YouTube, okay? I'm just the guy who's telling you to go to the links down below, join my programs, make sure you get 2 free stocks when you sign up for Webull and deposit $100, and sign up for life insurance within 5 minutes from your phone, and you get Apple Pay for it or Android Pay for it. But hey, that's beside the point. All in all, this is very interesting. I wanted to report this to you as soon as possible. So to me, obviously, we've got Donald Trump, despite his economic advisor and his, Kevin Hassett earlier in the day and yesterday saying, well, we're going to wait and see. We're going to wait and see. It seems like Donald Trump is pretty blunt here. More stimulus is coming. They have bipartisan support for more stimulus. Now it's just a matter of hammering out the details. But he seems very, very clear about more stimulus coming. Payroll tax cut seems almost guaranteed from his POV, and of course, infrastructure spending seems almost guaranteed. Obviously, again, nobody's mentioning anything about checks other than the Democrats, Pelosi, and in the past, Trump has said that he's not opposed to more checks directly. By the way, if you have not yet, I'd really appreciate it if you could press that red button that says subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.